Okay, guys, so, it looks like we've taken quite a beating here. I've got like strength damage, blindness, and death's door, so I'll probably have to go rest up at the base first. Get out of here. Is there a way out up here, do you think? I was thinking they said like
there's another obstacle.
There was a bard and wizard we needed to find. But I do recall there was a bard at the party house, actually.
You've crossed the wrong mongrel.
You should have listened to reason.
You won't survive me. Endure this!
Surrender or else!
You idiots better kill him.
Let us be off.
Bonuses don't add up. That's not the only thing that doesn't add up around here.
Did we find trouble? No.
We won't
They
falter.
did.
Quick, touch yourself.
I'm wounded.
Oh, funky magic we can use. Oh, snowball, I love it.
Won't give up.
This will leave a bruise.
Raven suffers a lot of crippling injuries, it seems like. That was her, wasn't it? Right? Good. A friend of Ilkes asked me to find you and protect you. Clasp our hands together. Ilkes is alive, and he's made a brilliant new friend. It's a shame it had to happen now, when the city was under siege by demons. Those peak-headed inquisitors are pursuing us instead of doing something useful. Your third group is Wallflower? No idea. If he knows about the demon attack, he just won't hide away, he'll go and try to help people. If he doesn't know, well, you have no chance of finding him. He's a pretty skilled mage, but I doubt if he'll risk using magic. He'll probably do something Inquisitor won't expect. Pose as someone, disguise himself. We had a great selection. Masquerade costumes and temples. I know, I'll tell my shawl around your arm. Wallflower gave it to me. He'll spot it right away and know you're a friend. If I were you, look for him in Kennebras's Market Square. Why did you decide to break into the World Stone to cast magic moves? Put our lives at risk, your information could be... demons. I didn't say that. Somewhere safe on your own? Visitors aren't visiting down the door just yet, and they're not hiding under the bed. So I think I'm safer now. I'll be fine on my own. We get to our temple, to Ilkes. The Inquisitors must have searched there by now. Go back a second time. How did you end up here? Foreign towns found me in Wallflower, and they tried to capture us. I distracted them, and I lost in the streets before charming my way into this party. Even the Inquisitors saw where I went. They haven't been allowed past the door. Halpern holds no sway among certain members of the aristocracy, so I picked a good place to lie low. That is until the demons showed up. I get it. That get put like into my inventory already, or how does that work? I'll just assume I'm wearing it. Market Square, you say? We just can't seem to get out of this place, can we? Could that be in the temple, I wonder?
Tired of waiting.
The eyes of a young lad perched from under your massive helmet. At this proximity, it is obvious that his armor is ill-fitting and mismatched. The helmet specifically is either very poorly made or a theater prop. Pardon me, I saw you with that shawl. Does this mean you're a friend of Aranka's? Lamb sang? Of course it does, so... That didn't take long. The young man's speech is interrupted by the arrival of a new cast of characters. People in the robes of Leomides Inquisitors appear from all sides, surrounding him. Adepthal of the Temple Desna, you are under arrest on suspicion of treason and aiding the demons. You have 1 minute to come quietly. Drag your feet, and we'll count that attempt to resist justice. Prelate Halrun appears behind his people. It appears the traitor almost corrupted the wardstone with his magic. You didn't think that disorder and the demonic presence in the city would distract us from pursuing traitors, did you? The youth's eyes go wide and says nothing, clearly not knowing what to do. Boyfriend is poor boy for nothing. I can't stand for this. Consider brows furrow. You bear the gift of heaven, and you're taking the side of a delinquent conspirator? Heaven knows not only righteous anger, but mercy as well. Bazinga. The Inquisitor gazes at the light, not even blinking. His face reveals a desperate inner struggle. At last, he rubs his temples. I do not know why you are standing in the way of justice, but I do not wish to start a spat between the goddess's righteous warriors in this hour of peril. Let this dissonant riffraff go wherever he likes, just as long as it's out of my sight. I will liberate the city from the demons. I will see to it that every one of Ramian's rents and everyone like him will be driven out of Canopus. Come, faithful, we have no further business here. The young man lets out a sigh of relief as he watches the Inquisitors go. This is just blatantly unfair. We try to protect the city from the demons, and instead of helping us, we get hunted by the Inquisitors. Prelate Halrun be the death of us all. There's nothing we can do about it. Anyway, thank you, bud. I've been done without you. This hasn't gone too far. I'm glad I didn't let them take you. That's it. I don't believe I'll get a fair hearing from Halrun. If it wasn't for you, I would have been tortured and put to death. But even so, I have my regrets. I think we went too far trying to break into the Wardstone. We didn't even save anyone. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to the Temple of Desna. I want to be alone with the goddess and reflect on all that has happened. Temple of Desna.
Make my own legend.
Ilkes, Aranka, and Thals side by side like sparrows on a tree branch. They seem happy despite chaos going on around them. If it isn't our rescuer, it's good that you've come. Sit with us. I don't want first, so I'll gladly sit with you. We've decided to give you a gift, a special gift, one that we'd never share with anyone except for a person who risked his life for ours. We didn't just take a stand against evil, but instant justice under the guise of the law. Our gift is a song. We call it Starboard Gaze, and it came to us from the true servants of Desna from a domain in Elysium. The song can gift a soul with renewed vitality. Just listen. Real chart topper here, I bet. For your soul, sing with us. I want to make sure you remember the song will be useful in your future. Oh yeah, that's a shame. I'm thinking of it. Let's have regret. I didn't want to do a chaotic action. It goes against my alignment. We did get a wand of remove disease, at least. Prisoner. Where's the priest that was said that would help me?
Follow me.
Dude. Whenever I sleep outside the walls of Defender's Heart and plagued by terrible dreams, can you help me? You look tired, but otherwise entirely healthy. If we were anywhere else, I would simply tell you to get some rest. But we are on the border of the world wound, and I'm all too aware of what's happening to you. As you know, the wound is a rift between Golorion and the Abyss, and all the evil that feeds the Abyss is the opposite in our world. It feeds Golorion. So it is that even when we cannot see demons near us, our ultimate foe, the Abyss, is always surrounding us. Many soldiers fighting in the whirlwind experience similar things. They suffer terrible nightmares, get no peace, sometimes even lose their minds. But we are trained to help you with this affliction. By the will of Abadar, I have consecrated an altar here. The god's grace permeates the space around it, soothing one's soul, and quieting thoughts during the rest. So if you find your nerves are fraying, seek out a holy place like this, approach it, corruption will be cleansed from you. Who was that boy? This one, Kyoto the shepherd, my apprentice. He's a smart boy and his faith is strong. He serves Aristotle, though. If there's something he can learn from an old servant of Abadar, he'll be a great cleric when he gets a little older. Okay. Lan. Tell me about yourself, Lan. I guess first question is, can you wear a hat without one horn, am I right? Mongols have short lifespans, but don't like you're getting old or dying. How old are you? I'm as old as I look, no surprises there, but remember Saul? He's 10 years older than me. I remember him back when he was a fearless warrior. Day by day, I watched him turn to an old man, him and my father. It happens very quickly. First you miss a shot because you don't see the target as clearly as you used to. You think it's because your eyes are tired. You tell yourself it'll get better tomorrow. Notice you're having trouble breathing. Climbing is harder than before. Lang clenches and unclenches his fist. Your fingers stop bending. You have to tie your sword to your hand. You can't even put your greaves without help. When you're washing your face in a stream, sometimes you catch a sight of gray-haired, wrinkled old man you don't recognize. And this goes on until one day you come across a cave beast and you realize you can't outrun it. My dad kept diaries marking all the signs, and I saw it too. The last year I had to get him out of bed, help him dress, remind him to eat. Sometimes he forgot his name, my name. I told him that we should have stayed on the surface, and he joked that dodging a goddess was behavior unworthy of a crusader. He meant Pharasma. Every morning I wake up, check how I feel. But there are no signs yet. Even so, I know I don't have much time. I need to do something useful before I forget why I came here. How am better than the rest of your tribe? Well, enough common isn't all that common underground. But your observation is correct. I used to live on the surface with my parents for a while. I had a chance to learn a couple of things. The language, the fact that every peasant who sees my scaly mug screams demon and runs away. I don't know if you're interested, but my mom wasn't from an underground tribe. She was a smuggler. The kind that used the dungeons of Kennebrust to secretly move and store goods. One time, two gangs couldn't agree on how to share a prime cut, get into a fight, and the winners threw the losers down a hole, dead and living alike. My dad went to check on if the corpses had anything useful on them and found a girl from the surface, barely clinging to life. An incredible feeling sparked between them. Or maybe the girl just liked men with scales and a cat nose. That might be it, one way or another. He got her back to her feet, and he later even left his home caves. She left her smuggling behind, and they began an honest life together. How romantic. It's the lifeboat story of how land came into the world. The next chapter, however, my family and I never stayed in one place for long. We lived sometimes in the surface, sometimes underground. We couldn't find a place to call home. Living in the caves was hard on my mom. My dad's appearance raised too many questions in Mendev. They're at war against the demons and all. In the end, my parents decided to stop making each other miserable and separated. My father and I returned to our tribe. I think the peasant screaming demon had something to do with it. Or maybe Dad just couldn't stand a life without rat tail soup. I wouldn't rule out the possibility. Can you wear a hat? Sure I can. Certain designs don't suit me. It's very serious. That's all I want to know. Life on the surface. Of course, as far as living conditions, the surface is definitely a better place to be. It's easier to get good food and water, not to mention build a house, even grow a few things. In older, well-established settlements, you don't have to deal with anything scarier than rats, maybe foxes stealing chickens. Kind of lives you have. I had a story of demon worshippers of an old family and sacrificing them one by one while the others watched. There were some brave Crusader knights nearby, and they killed villains and saved everyone. I heard another story. A young blacksmith lost his arm in a fire. I couldn't work to feed his wife and baby. They tried their best and lived from hand to mouth, but they were still destitute. In the end, the desperate blacksmith robbed a traveler one night on the road, but there were some brave Crusader knights nearby. They caught the robber and threw him in prison. Not long after, the wife smothered their baby and hanged herself. Up here, the same person can probably say he's protecting the innocent from demons. And then they look the other way while the innocent starve just because they were born to a poor family. Queen Galfrey prolongs her life with sun orchid elixirs that cost enough to feed an entire city. Back in our caves, everyone is equally poor, and if one person starves, the whole tribe starves. We don't depend on our own in times of trouble. Just the power of the tribe. The laws of the surface are made so that some get everything and others get nothing. I'll just be a naive fool from the caves, but I don't understand how it's possible to have so much share, so much less. Anyway, look who I'm talking. You must know life on the surface much better than I do. I really have a need to burst some trouble, living more than most, which means I know I will help others. A fitting reply, don't take words as a reproach. I like grumbling as much as cracking jokes. Thanks for your answers. Why do we rape you so well? Good teachers. I get the credit, I'm a diligent student. Where'd you get your amulet? A little trinket. It's nice of you to notice, but I assure you that amulet is nothing but a bauble. You drawn beautiful, useless things. Battle cries are uninhibited. So you've noticed. To be honest, I find it embarrassing. You see, being a shaman means having spirits of battle as my ever-present companions. In the heat of battle, they feel rather vocal. Borges' daughter. Terrible secret. Father cares so much about the worm name that he raised me in our mansion, hiding me from the whole world. To be grateful to my father for everything he's done for me. In Mendev, society deprives of some decisions. It would be insolent of me to beg for your discretion regarding what you know about us. Let's keep this little secret. I assure you, my father and I appreciate loyalty and decency. For myself, my father, I thank you for your understanding. Maybe your dad had a bunch of torture devices around us. So, oh yeah, I found a number of interesting implements and accessories in the current mansion. Kind of you to share, you've gone through the ground's dirty laundry and drawn some bizarre conclusions. Rather my company, please refrain from making such insinuations in the future. Okay. I won't keep you. So, she dodges the question, eh? Why am I pleased with you? I asked you to bring me safety, and that's exactly what you did. Indeed, being a follower to aid me in the most efficient and frankly pleasing. With you on hand, I shall conquer new horizons, plumb the depths of knowledge hitherto unknown, scale dizzying heights of future discoveries. What I mean is, I'd like to express my deepest gratitude for the immense potential in our future cooperation. Have it up. Hand in hand, we will unravel the greatest mysteries inaccessible to the minds of ordinary people. Just imagine it. I leading the way, probably staring in the faces of gods themselves, and you, my loyal follower, walking behind every step of the way, writing my deepest thoughts and admiring the profundity of my intellect. Does it pressure to like so effusively? What? Who are you? Oh yes, my new follower. What I was to do? Oh yes, I must provide some verbal encouragement for your as yet modest achievements. Try to induce you to strive for more of such encouragement. It's the principle that underpins any training. I see your modest nature was unsettled by the overabundance of my gratitude. I do apologize for putting you in such an awkward position. You will praise you again unless I forget. But let's get back to the business at hand. Your assignment will be to take me to the inconspicuous ruins of the even more inconspicuous valley lying between Kennebrass and Dresden. As soon as reasonably practicable, I'll mark the place on your map with a large red cross so you won't forget. So special will these ruins. Glad you asked. These are my greatest hypothesis, my secret project, and I won't pass up the opportunity to share it with you because you're my most loyal follower who are worthy of possessing such knowledge. But also because you're the first person to ever ask about it. Some time ago, I was walking around the border of the world wound with a strange person. He was wearing a frayed grey robe and his face was hidden behind an odd white mask. Of course, I didn't miss the opportunity to ask him the reason for his absurd appearance. Do you know what he said to me? He said, I am the answer, but what is the question? And he walked off in the direction of the world wound. That's the guy who says absence of an answer is an answer itself, isn't it? The next day, after I had already forgotten about the first encounter, I had another similar encounter, this time with an elven woman. Judging by the pointy ears sticking out from behind the mask, I am the answer, but what's the question, she said, before taking off toward the world wound. Then I realized everything became clear to me. I know mystery when I see one, with some myriad of talents. After all these guises weren't simply on their way to a costume party, were they? After examining several maps, I determined they were all heading in one direction, to a place not far from Kennebrass, a place which is marked on nameless ruins on ancient Sarkorian maps. That's where I need to go. Unraveling the secret of this place will be my greatest discovery. Secure my place in history, perhaps even in legend. I expect to find it. I haven't the slightest idea. If it was hidden there, I wouldn't be so eager to go. These ruins may just be turned out to be ruins. In that case, we'll write this experiment out as a failure and start another one. I don't know which experiment I'll try next. That's all I want to know. Well, now you know, so now we're off. Did I just make a rhyme? Perhaps I've discovered poetic talent myself. It's an experiment. At least say a word and try to run for it right away. Midday. Discovery, go away. If you play, you need to pay. Every shade of color gray. Not the best of rhymes, don't you think? Well, this experiment was successful. We learned that I have no poetic talent after all. But it's no reason to despair. Having a gift of poetry in addition to my inexhaustible intelligence would have been such a little too much. Besides, I'm catastrophically busy and have no time to spend writing poetry. I give know. Shake off visitors. There's a couple pieces of paper from her sleeve. Some notes on it. This conversation lasts approximately 5 minutes. By the way, did you know that the exact same amount of time the Inquisitors Kennebrass need to find a defendant guilty? But to shake off the Inquisitors chasing you takes 5 times as long. The experiment proved that running while clad in heavy armor was not burdensome for them at all.
March on.
See. Tell me about yourself. I say, where are you from? From Geb, a little bit of Catfish, but mostly in the Knights of Reunite. I accepted and began my training at 14, going through the ranks, and then I belonged to any other place. A long road, haven't you? A very long one. The traveler is expected to have amusing stories. Unfortunately, I have 3 of any interest, and I'd like to save them for our next feast. Otherwise, I won't have anything to show for myself when it's time to start bragging. That just won't do, especially since I'll win the night with my cautionary tale of battle with chupacabras. Chupacabras, fascinating. Can't they drink their victims' blood during combat and gain strength from it? Oh yes, and they do it very quickly. They bite one victim, suck out their blood, and strike their next victim quick as lightning. Now you've tricked me and I've started telling the tale. I may as well do it properly. Picture a small town in Kadira, and down in the dungeon there's 2 murderers waiting to be executed. The gallows are already built for them. The rope's been bought, but sometimes life takes surprising turns. Suddenly a paladin of Ionide appears in the doorway, offers the murderers a deal. If they go with her to fight some monsters, they'll live. If they survive, that is. There's a big difference between imminent death and probable death of the glimmer of hope, wouldn't you say? So here we are, traveling to the desert. Me and my friend, the priestess of Sirenray, along with a little rat folk fellow who have asked for our help, and 2 cutthroats. We get to the rat folk village and see their bodies lying around, all drained dry. We figured we'd have to fight vampires. That's how little rat folk described the monsters who attacked their village. That's why they went all brazen like. The sun was high, the vampires couldn't attack until dusk. Now we never get a chance to look around. Black shadows, quick as the wind, attacked us from all sides. Not vampires, but chupacabras. One of the lads we pulled the gallows got killed right away. The second one ran for his life. That left me, the rat folk, and Kyra. That was the name of the priestess. We all steeled ourselves for the fight of our lives. Just when we thought the end had come, the chupacabras surrounded me like a pack of dogs around a bear. A rat folk friend wounded and downed. The teeth of the quickest, those blasted monsters clenched on Kyra's shoulder. Right then, when all hope was lost, the other lad from the gallows suddenly comes running back. He kills the beast attacking Kyra. I'm sure you know what a turning point in a fight looks like. Well, this was it. A moment before we were lost, and a moment later we had it back under control. The chupacabras dropped dead, one by one. The little rat folk reunited with his family were hiding in the basement. The priestess and I closed the eyes of that boy from the gallows who saved us. It was a shame he didn't survive the fight. May the gods keep his soul in his journey through the afterlife. That was a good story. Died disgraced in the gallows, but instead died a hero. Die of fancy. This stunt earned him some points in the final judgment. Smart enough to remember a journey doesn't end in death. If it not been for that mercy, Milos, that was his name, would be hanging from a noose, and me, Kyra, and all the rat folk would be dead in that village. Someone told me that a kind of deed done by an unkind person is 100 times more precious. At the same token, the evil done by noble souls 100 times more horrifying. So you really want to say chupacabras are just a good starting point. The Iscari attacked Canabras. Things seemed lost. The first person I met after catastrophe was you and my sister in faith. The son of Imede watches over us. Sure, that's true, although the honest, our mentors used to warn us against being too eager to see messages from Goddess in every little thing. Being devout is all well and good, but you've got to rely on your own head. Did you become a paladin? Serious question and a good one. You should ask of your companions. It's a long story. To start with, 12 years ago, I was nothing like the person I am now, roamed the streets of Soku, the other homeless orphans. I stole, fought, hired sword for a bit. Not the proper origin for a paladin, is it? Back then, Soku was a city of orphans, widows, and widowers. Gnolls decimated the city regularly. My parents were among their victims. People there heard about the new deaths before they finished mourning their previous losses. One day, a group of knights of Reunite brought a glimmer of hope to the city, but while others saw them as saviors and protectors, I was busy pricing up their noble horses and gleaming mithril armor, wondering just how much of their pretty swords would fetch. Haha. A thief lives one day at a time. That's what they say. I was the type that never thought past the next job. Anyhow, I was able to sneak into the knight's camp and steal one of the mithril helms. And I was right there when the gnoll attacked the helm's owner. Ekami was her name, and dealt a blow to her unprotected head. Unlike all those others, she'd fearlessly driven from the gates of Solku. That one blow was fatal. But who was really to blame for her death? The gnoll attacker or the young thief named Scylla? Even small misdeeds have terrible consequences. Yes, 1,000 times over. Hate to say it, but I just don't see it back then, and if I had never got that lesson, my eyes would probably never have been opened. Who knows what would have happened to me if it wasn't for Akimi and her bravery. And her death? Maybe the world would know Sela as a bandit, and not as the knight protector of those in need. There's a saying I like to remember: people rarely seek redemption in their own. Someone must show them the way. You're asking what brought me to the ranks of Pyramid's warriors? We all chose the paladin's path for our own reasons. Some are guided by nobility of spirit, some by desire to fight injustice. I became who I am through penance and a debt unpaid. The day Akemi died protecting my city, I wanted to kill myself for the terrible guilt I felt. But then I realized it wouldn't make the world any better, and decided that I'd rather try to take her place. I'd become who she had been, protect innocence we'd no longer be able to protect. All I need to know. Thanks for the talk. Now, with this attack. Everything is ready for the attack on Gray Garrison. Time to attack. Onward and upward. Expect the demons to attack Defender's Heart. We sharpened our swords and prepared for the worst, but nothing happened. It seems likely the demons simply couldn't organize an attack in time. If we had been even slightly slower off the mark, I'm sure they would have. That's all down to you, so allow me to share some of the surplus resources we managed to save. Heavy flail weight, exposure to cure light wounds, modern, scroll of heroism, scroll of haste, we can call it overlay. Now to battle. Oh, come and even homeless chick.